Hello fellow traders, today I want to talk about the IBB, which is the Nasdaq index that follows the biotech sector. So you will see a lot of different companies or components that are part of this IBB index. For example, Gilead, Illumina, my favorite, Biogen, Celgene, Regeneron, Vortex Pharmaceuticals, and the like. Now, of course, me coming from a genetics research background, you have to take this with a healthy dose of skepticism because I tend to believe that a lot of these biotech companies are a great short opportunities because they fail. Now, these are the rather big companies, so these have made it against all odds, and then if you put them into an index, that makes it even more stronger. But nonetheless, what I want to talk about is a potential, and I have to emphasize potential for a reversal in the IBB. Now, a lot of money goes into these kinds of stocks around January. So at some point we have to anticipate at least some minor pullback, if not a reversal. If you go back in time and you look at the IBB, this thing has been a monster. So just looking at it from 2009, going from $57, $58, and now it is trading at $315.59, and just last week it traded as high as the 328 level, actually 329.19. And the reason why I want to talk about it is because I'm seeing at least the beginnings of some weakness. Okay, so some weakness is being introduced to the IBB. So we've had some earnings as an example last week, and I'm not sure which one was it, Gilead or one of them, I'm not sure, but there was a big gap down on earnings. And so you have to look at these individual components and you have to put your story together. And when one makes shows you some weakness and another one follows, then ultimately it's going to have an effect on the IBB. So look at all those companies and put together the story to see whether the IBB might reverse. When you look at the stochastics, we've been sort of trading, at least on the weekly chart, we've been trading in this area right here in the 90 area. And overall, this is telling us that clearly this is overbought. And I don't have to tell you this in terms of technicals. Anybody can see that this chart is severely, severely overbought. If we go to the monthly, weekly. If we go to the weekly, what we see is again the same thing. The stochastics showing us that the chart is severely overbought, and the MACD actually looks to be potentially slowing down. And I know I use words like potentially, possibly a lot, and you just have to as a trader. All we're really doing is stacking up the percentage points as far as probability. In trading, nothing is definite. There is no such thing as a 100% trade. But if I can put in just a little bit more work to make my trade go from 50% favorable to 60 to 70, then that's all I really have to do. So again, you have to put a story together as a trader. So here what we're seeing is that the stochastics have been telling us for months, literally, that this stock or this index is overbought. So the question is, where does it stall out? Where do we see some potential stalling out? And what I want to show you is that there is a repetitive sort of mode in the pullback. So obviously we've been on a rally in the IBB, but there have been some pullbacks. So we've had higher highs and higher lows. And so let me show you what I've been looking at. And again, a lot of this is approximate, but it all helps you in determining whether or not you want to go ahead with this trade. So if we just take this leg right here, so we have this run up from April 2014 to about the end of June 2014. So if I just put together um, a line to encompass that run, and I copy it and I try to superimpose it on these other pullbacks and rallies, what you will see is that there is a lot of repetition. So if I put it here, right, from this pivot to this, we see that it was a similar move. If we superimpose it right here as an example, also a very similar move. And you can even go back in time and put it on the previous moves, right? Here, for example, you see that there was a pivot right here, and then that there was a little bit of a top right here. Okay, although in between we had some pullbacks, it just means that afterwards we got stronger and we made that rally in one leg as opposed to kind of chopping around. But nonetheless, these are some very interesting moves that the stock has been making. And here's another one. Excuse me. Let me get rid of that. Here's another one that you can also take a look at, approximately from this area right here to that area. And of course you can go back, but it may not work in the past because the stock has been gaining momentum after 2012, whereas before that it was less volatile in terms of being bullish. So these are a couple of things, and now the question is, well, where might it go? And so if I were to do that again and project it out into the future from this recent leg, there is a possibility that we get to the 350, 352 area. Now again, these are just some projections, but I think based on some of these things that I'm seeing, as long as I'm very determined in what my stops are, in what my targets are, then I think this might be a good short, the 350, maybe slightly higher if you want to be safe area. So if we get there by any chance in the next couple of weeks, I might be putting out a swing short on this on my website. Now the good thing about this trade is that even though you don't really have that many factors besides this little bit of symmetry and the fact that it's overbought, as long as you are clear on your stops and you expect a lot to the downside, then you can have a really nice reward to risk ratio. So in other words, if I risk only, let's say, $5 or $6, so be it. But when this thing goes down, in case that I'm right, then it's going to go down fast and furious. And so you might stop out at 357 or 358, but you might want to wait for it to get down to 300 to take your profits. So again, sometimes you don't really need to have all the factors there, although of course I prefer it as much as I can. But in cases like this where you're constantly hitting all-time highs, there's really not much you can do in terms of technical analysis. Maybe you can do some extension moves or something like that. But other than that, you don't really have that much, maybe looking at seasonality, trends, or overall market. The beauty of that, though, is that you can take any trade as long as you know your stops and your targets. And in case you are right, you're going to make a lot of money.